If you're a developer, I bet you felt this exact pain. You build something awesome, you type some data into your app, you hit that refresh button, and poof, it's all gone, just vanished. It is one of the most common frustrations when you're starting out, but what if I told you it's not a bug?
So of course you're asking, why? Why does this keep happening? It feels like your code must be broken, or maybe the browser just has a terrible memory. And you know what? You're not entirely wrong about the memory part, but it's not a bug. It's actually by design.
So let's get into why this happens. See, any information you're storing in your standard JavaScript variables, it's temporary. The second you refresh or close that tab, all of that memory is just wiped clean. This isn't a flaw, it's just the browser's default state. It's built to have a short-term memory to keep everything running fast and light.
But what if we don't want the browser to forget? What if our app needs to remember things, like a user's name, or their dark mode preference, or what they left in their shopping cart? Well, that's where we get to the solution. We need to give the browser a brain, and we do that using something called the Web Storage API.
So, what exactly is web storage? Put simply, it's a built-in toolkit that lets us save little bits of information right there inside the user's browser. It basically acts as a persistent memory for our web app. Now, this memory comes in two main flavors, and they're used for very different things.
The two tools in our kit are localStorage and sessionStorage. And yeah, their names give you a pretty big clue about what they do. But to really get a feel for when to use each one, we need a simple analogy.
Let's think about it like this. Local storage is like a sturdy notebook that you keep forever, and session storage is like a temporary sticky note. One is for long-term records, and the other is for those quick, disposable reminders. Let's break that down a bit more. First up, our notebook, local storage. This is for the data that needs to survive, well, pretty much everything. You can close the tab, you can close the whole browser, heck, you can restart your computer, and when you come back to that website, the data will still be there. It's absolutely perfect for long-term stuff like user settings, theme preferences, or keeping someone logged in.
And then we have our sticky note session storage. This is for temporary data. The info you put here only lasts as long as that specific browser tab is open. As soon as you close that tab, that sticky note gets crumpled up and tossed in the trash. This is great for data that's only relevant to a single task, like, say, the information you filled into a multi-step form before you hit submit.
This slide right here really solidifies the difference. Look at persistence. Local storage is permanent until you manually clear it. Session storage? Gone at the end of the session. And scope is super important too. Local storage is shared across all tabs from the same website, but session storage is unique to each individual tab. It just perfectly spells out the use cases, user preferences for local storage, and single workflow data for session storage.
Okay, so we get the difference between the notebook and the sticky note. But how do we actually, write in them? Well, the good news is it's incredibly simple, and the methods for both local storage and session storage are exactly the same. You really only need to know 3 core commands. First, item set. This is how you store something. You give it a key, which is like a label, and then the value you want to save. Second, item get. This is how you get it back. You just ask for it by its key. And finally, item remove, which you guessed it, lets you delete a specific piece of data. Write, read, delete. That's pretty much it.
Let's make this real with a simple note-taking app. When a user types a note, we can use setItem to save that text into local storage with a key, maybe something like userNote. Then, whenever the page loads or reloads, we just use getItem to check if userNote exists. If it does, we pop that text right back into the box. And just like that, problem solved. No more lost data on refresh.
Now, using web storage is really easy, but there are a few important rules, kind of like the fine print, that you absolutely need to remember so you don't run into any weird bugs down the road.
Okay, rule number 1. Web storage only stores strings. If you try to save a number or a complex object, it's going to get converted into a string, and that can cause some headaches. The classic fix here is to use json.stringify before you save an object and json.parse when you get it back. Rule 2. It's domain-specific. Data you save on website A.com can't be touched by website B.com. This is a huge security feature. And third, there's a size limit, usually around 5 megabytes. It's pretty generous, but it's not infinite, so you can't just go crazy with it.
So what's the big takeaway here? Web storage is what solves the browser's bad memory problem. By using our notebook, local storage for long-term memory, and our sticky notes, session storage for short-term tasks, we can build way richer, more user-friendly applications that feel less like static pages and more like actual, stateful software.
It's a simple tool, really, but it unlocks a whole world of possibilities. It is the foundation for creating those smooth, persistent experiences we all expect on the web today. So the only question left is, now that you know how to give your application a memory, what are you going to build?